This is just another really good example of ways to think about how religion has developed and why maybe it's not so obvious that your particular religion is the answer.
What sort of cultures did they invent turned out to be very sensitive to what sort of ecosystems they lived in. For example, across the world, desert dwellers are statistically more likely than chance to invent monotheistic religions. Rainforest dwellers invent polytheistic ones, and all.
And that makes perfect sense. There's just more stuff around you. There would be a rain god. There would be a god for different types of animals, for, all this type of stuff. Whereas if you're in the desert, there's not as much stuff.
Sorts of baggage that goes along with that. Another pattern, when you look at humans living in small hunter-gatherer bands, the religions they invent almost all the time involve gods who could care less what humans are doing.
And again, that makes sense because there's not that many people to affect.
Not until humans are living in sufficiently high density that you're interacting with strangers, that you interact anonymously, then humans start inventing what are called moralizing gods. Gods who are watching us, and gods who are judging us, and gods who are the pair of eyes up there on the bus stop there.
So I definitely agree that it makes sense that some idea of something bigger than ourselves is apparent. It's just calling that a specific thing is an issue. And if we want to actually learn what that is, what that thing is, what that energy, what that entity, whatever it is, if we want to learn it, we have to stop calling it a specific thing because we just don't know.
We're getting complex enough that we can't do it ourselves. Or another critical distinction has to do with traditional ways of making a livelihood. The traditional world, people are either top left, hunter-gatherers, top right, agriculturalists or horticulturalists, or in the center, pastoralists. Pastoralists, people wandering the grasslands or the deserts with their herds of camels and cows and goats and all of that. And there's a particular vulnerability if you're a pastoralist. If you're a rainforest hunter-gatherer, bad people cannot come at night and steal your rainforest. If you're an agriculturist, they can't come at night and steal 20 acres of your maize. But if you're a pastoralist, people could come at night and steal your herds, rustle your herds there, and everywhere around the world, pastoralists come up with cultures of honor, built around violent retribution, warrior classes, honor killings, vendettas that stretch for centuries. And what is most remarkable is, within minutes of birth, if you were a child in a culture of honor, your mother is speaking to you at a higher volume and holding you for a shorter length of time than if you were a child in one of these other cultures. If you were born into a collectivist culture, on the average, your mother is nursing you for longer lengths of time in your first week of life than if you were born in an individualist culture. In other words, within minutes of birth, everything we've already seen is now being shaped by what your ancestors were doing for a living centuries before. In other words, ecosystems shape cultures, shape brains, shape behaviors. And some of these differences are manifest within minutes of birth. In other words, brains and bodies and behaviors and cultures and genes all co-evolve.
All this just to say that maybe we don't have it all figured out yet. Maybe there's a way to figure out more and actually get closer to whatever it is that you're calling God. Come chat with me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.